Hi everyone, this is Sally and I'm getting ready to paint the fall owl design that I have here. So I wanted to show you, this is the image that I have on my iPad that I'll be using to guide me as I paint. And then I'm going to just kind of tell you what I have here, all my tools. I've got kind of a medium flat brush and mostly for the background. I've got a rather small round brush, and I've got kind of a small filbert and another like medium size filbert. So those I think are the four that paintbrushes that I'm going to be using. I've got my styrofoam palette, and the reason why I'm using styrofoam today is because I know I'm going to be stopping a lot and taking some breaks. So this is going to help keep the paints wet. What I'll do is I'll just put my paint on one of them, and when I'm ready for a break I'll cover it with the other plate, and then I'll stick it all inside a Ziploc baggie, and that'll keep it the paint nice and wet for me for later. Okay, so there's my palettes. I've already traced the owl, as you saw in the short clip that I started the video with. So I've got my owl and tree, mostly everything is traced. And so today I think, and I'm not sure about the colors yet, but what I think I'm going to be using is cerulean blue. So I've got, this one is from Montmartre. And then I've got Liquitex fluid. This is Cad Red medium. And then I've got some Crafters acrylic. This is by Deco Art. It's just white. It's not titanium white. Deco Art Americana, and I've got light buttermilk. Another Deco Art. This is Cad Orange. And then another Deco Art, this is Burnt Sienna. So I think that those are the colors that I'm going to be using. And the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to be painting the background, the sky, and the background trees that you see there in the background. These kind of faded into the blue. So we're going to work on that first. And let me put some paint on my palette and then we'll get started. I've got my water ready. I've got a couple napkins, or paper towels I mean. I always call them napkins. You can probably use any kind of a light blue color for your sky, but I thought this cerulean blue, however you say it, would look pretty nice. So I need that, and I need white. Let's shake this up. I always like to shake up my paint before I get started. And put some white on there. And then I'm going to be needing some of the burnt sienna for those background trees. So grab some of that. All right, so that's all we're going to start with for now. I'm going to grab my flat brush because I'm going to be working on the background, and I'm going to get it damp first, dab it off on my paper towel, and I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to start with grabbing some white on my brush, load it up pretty good with the white, and then come in here and just grab a little bit of this blue. Now I want around the owl to be lighter than the rest of the painting, the rest of the background. So I'm going to kind of go in here with my paintbrush. I'm going to paint around the images that I have here, and notice I'm just kind of dabbing and dotting. I don't want this to be a flat looking sky. I want it to be very painterly and mottled. Let me grab some more of this white. owl there. And just kind of dab, dab, dab. I may do some crisscrossy marks as well. But this is an 8x10 size. It's my favorite size to use. A lot of people, we just don't have a lot of space on our walls to be hanging a bunch of great big paintings. And especially for those of us who live part-time or even full-time in an RV, there's no room. There's just really no room, no space to put a lot of paintings and things up on your walls. So 8x10 is perfect for that. But also another reason why I like 8x10s is because it's not expensive to find some nice little picture frames, like photo picture frames. They're not expensive, especially if you find them in thrift stores, which is where I like to look. And these will just pop right into a frame like that, and then you can set your painting on a table, or you can hang them, whichever you prefer. So yeah, they're easy to hang, easy to display. And when you paint a lot of them like I do, you want them to be small enough to store when you need to just store them. By the way, I'm just going back and forth with the white and the blue. That's all I'm doing here. Anyway, yeah, 8x10, I highly recommend them. And I'm not being real careful going around the images. I just need to really kind of know where they are so that when I go to start painting them, I'll have a good idea of where I want my paint to be. Trying to lighten it up around the owl there a bit more. These little leaves flying in the sky. Again, it doesn't have to be exact. Just gonna stick with using this flat brush. I'm not gonna clean it off. I'm just gonna come in here with my burnt sienna and just grab a little bit of that on there, and I may even I'm gonna grab a little bit of white, kind of lighten it up a bit, and maybe even just a little bit of this blue. Make it a different kind of color, and just come in with, I'm using the straight edge of my brush and just kind of going in here and loosely painting this tree branch, and at this point you can really kind of make the branch any shape that you want, but see how I'm allowing it to kind of disappear in that blue sky. So that's the goal, is to make it look very, what's the word I'm trying to say? Ethereal, I guess, is the word. I'm not sure. Atmospheric, maybe? I don't know. I need a little hot water on there. There's supposed to be a leaf over here, so that's why I'm not worried about that. And I can put more leaves right over there too. So, all right, I think I'm okay with that. I'm gonna thicken up this branch here. So you can't have it thicker at the top than it is at the bottom, and right now that was kind of bothering me. So I'm gonna go ahead and thicken that branch up there, or that trunk. To it. All right. Okay, I'm gonna pause there and let that dry a bit before I come back. So grab yourself a drink, or pause with me, or just keep watching. Thanks. Okay, I'm back, and off camera I did add a little more white around the owl. So I'm getting ready to start working on the owl's body. And right now I'm just going to do kind of a base coat, kind of an underpainting of him. And so I'm not worried about details. I'm going to use the burnt sienna, and I think I'm going to throw a little bit of this light buttermilk on here too, because I don't know if I want it to be as dark as just pure burnt sienna. So I'm going to go ahead and use this larger filbert brush and get it damp, dab it off, and I'm going to grab some of this burnt sienna. Kind of load up my brush pretty good with that, and then get a little bit of the light buttermilk, and let's see what we come up with here. Yeah, I kind of like that. That's good. I just wanted kind of a medium tone for his base color. Didn't quite want it to be just all dark burnt sienna. Now I'm not worrying too much about the details of his feathers right now. I'm just kind of, again, laying down a kind of just a base coat, something to build upon. Same thing, just grab burnt sienna and some buttermilk. that long hair there. Where'd that come from? All right. Just go right into this burnt sienna here and come around his head. I might want to change my brush here. This is going to be really dark eventually. Looks like my brush is getting a little too dry, so I dipped it in some water. And come across his head here. He's got really, really white eyebrows. So I'm gonna avoid these eyebrows. Well, not pure white, but they're very, very light colored. And I'm worried that if I put that burnt sienna on there, I'm not going to be able to get it light enough later on. So that's what I'm doing there. I think I'm going to switch to that smaller filbert that I have. Get it wet. He's a lighter color in here as well, and this area around his eye is like an orange with some yellow. His beak is dark, but I'll do that later with a detail brush. So everything's good here, and let's go ahead and get his tail feathers. Just a coat of some of this paint on here. We'll come back and we'll do that branch going across him last. So we will have to cover him come up a little bit there. So I'm not worried too much about going up into that branch. I just want to make sure I get his body with some color on it. I'm going to go ahead and darken this wing a bit. And all those details are going to come in later, but right now we just need, maybe look back over him. Okay, darken it up about in here, and around his talons. All right. Yeah, I'm gonna leave these alone. I might just do a real light. Let me grab this buttermilk and some of this burnt sienna, and I'll go ahead and fill in this area around his eyes here. Hopefully I won't regret that when I go to make it a nice bright orange. I'm gonna need to add a few more colors to my palette. So I need some of this cadmium red, and let me get that on here. Oh, it needs to be opened. All right, let's open this bottle up. Not over my painting, thank you very much. That could have been a big mistake. All right, mix this up. Okay. Ooh, some cad red medium. I've already got it all over myself. Let's clean this off here. All right. And I'm gonna stick with my filbert brush. So I've got burnt sienna, cad red, and we're gonna see how this works. So we're gonna work on these feathers, the darker feathers. I may need some black. Let me see, where's my black? I'm gonna grab some black too. All right, let's put a little bit of black on here. Okay, let's see. Get my filbert brush wet. I'm using this smaller filbert brush, and I'm gonna grab this burnt sienna. To add a little bit of red to that. Grab some more of this, and grab some more of that. Okay, I like that. Let me take a little bit of this out and add a little bit of black to that. So now I've got this deep red with the mix of the burnt sienna and the cad red medium. And now I've taken that and just added some even, to make it even darker, I put some black in it. Okay, so I've got the darkest color, and then I've got kind of my medium shade, and then my, I don't know, reddish, more reddish shade. Okay, so since I've got this darkest shade on my brush, I'm gonna go ahead and put this on the outer edge of my owl, and I'm gonna come up kind of under his feathers there. Again, come up under feathers here. Defining this whole wing area here. Might want to add a little more black to this. And I'm going to come up around his head there. And under this ear, underside of his ear. His or her. Kind of a shadow area under some of these more defined feathers here. So let me grab this, and we're gonna go under his ear here. This is the inside part of his ear. And we can let that feather out even out into the sky background a little bit, and then come down around the outside there. Looks like I'm going to need to mix a little more, so I'm going to grab that and some more of that black. Just a little bit of black, because it will overpower any color you mix it with very quickly. This area of his belly. And then we're going to go and give him some shading down here too. And we can kind of imagine some other areas of feathers that we want to put some of this darker in. It doesn't have to be exact. You can leave this step out because as you add the feathers, it'll kind of create its own shading. All right, let's see now. Let me see his tail feathers. Looks like we've got some streaks of dark feathers coming down here on this outside edge. And we can go ahead and outline a little bit with that. Okay. Right. Now, I'm going to kind of just wipe off my brush. I'm not cleaning it, I'm just wiping it out. And now I'm going to go to this shade and I'm going to add these feathers. Let's say I need to come down here. Let me start down here. Just kind of lay down my brush and pull up on it. A little bit of this burnt umber now. Just kind of put it on there, here and there. And maybe a little bit of this. That was buttermilk I added. So a little more buttermilk. That kind of helps define where these feathers are laying. Add a little more buttermilk to that. Some feathers there. And I'm letting it be lumpy. Letting there be lumps of paint. I don't want it to be smooth down. I just want it to be kind of lumpy there. Textured. A little too much buttermilk there. So let me go back, add some color to it. Okay, looks pretty good. Now let's add some of this lighter color. I've got a mix of buttermilk and some of this burnt sienna and a little bit of this red. And more buttermilk. Okay, a little more red. All right, now I'm going to do the top of his head. So I'm going to come in here on his ear, kind of let it flick up there like that into the background. A little more buttermilk. Kind of help define that a little bit. The more color you add, the less flat your painting will appear. So, you know, you can put down a color and then just adding those little tiny soft tones of other color to it. Right here, I'm just going to add a little more red to this. And it just helps it pop. Take a little bit of that buttermilk. And look at how it just changes it. It adds dimension. Go into this a little bit more. A little more red here. And I think some more of this burnt sienna in here. And I'm just kind of dotting it, speckling it with the burnt sienna. Oop. And maybe a little bit of this darker color that I had over here, just to give it a little depth in here, little shadow. Okay. Okay, now let's see. Let's do his belly. We're gonna do some light buttermilk and burnt sienna on his belly, but now we're also gonna add some cad orange. And I might end up putting some of that red in there too. So let me grab this cad orange. And I'm gonna have to probably get some more burnt sienna. So I'm gonna put that there. And let me get some more burnt sienna on here. Looks like I have plenty of buttermilk there. Okay, sticking with my filbert brush. I didn't really have to clean that off, but I did anyway. All right, so we're gonna be layering feathers. We're gonna start at the bottom and work our way to the top. Let's start with, looks like we've got our darker colors towards the bottom. So we're gonna start with just some, let's see what happens if I just put some burnt sienna down here. And feather shapes. This is just pure burnt sienna here right now. and I think I'm going to put a little bit of red. I'm going to do this burnt sienna and red color here. A little of that. Okay, now as I work up, I'm going to add a little orange to my burnt sienna. So let's get some orange in there. And put a feather here. Grab some of this buttermilk. So I've got my orange, my buttermilk, and some of this burnt sienna. In here. Okay, orange, buttermilk, lighten it up a little bit. I need some more definition down in here. I'm going to take some of this red and just kind of go in here and add a few dabs here and there. Okay, one more red. Orange and red. Let's do some orange and red. Put a little bit of that buttermilk in there. Okay, now let's lighten up these upper feathers quite a bit. So buttermilk and some orange. Into that. I'm not having the definition I need, so I'm going to let this kind of dry, and then I'll go back over it and add some highlights and some more shadows, and that'll help bring some of those feathers forward and separate them from each other. leave that alone for a while, and I think I'll work on his face. So I need some light buttermilk and probably white. And did I get cad yellow out? Let's see. I need some cad. I thought I got cad yellow out. Where is it? Here's my cad yellow. Here we go. Here's some cad yellow. All right. I don't know what happened. I forgot to get my cad yellow out earlier. So there's some cad yellow. All right. I'm gonna switch and use my small round brush now, or detail brush, whatever you want to call it. And first, I'm gonna, these cool eyebrows. And I got it wet and dabbed it off. I'm gonna grab this buttermilk and I'm going to give him some nice thick eyebrows. And we'll come back to that and add more layers as we need, and maybe even add a little bit of white to that. But for now, we're just kind of putting down the base layer to his eyebrows, and they'll need touched up, I'm sure. All right. Let's do I've got buttermilk on here, so we're gonna go and we're gonna do around his eye here, and it's primarily orange. So I'm gonna grab this orange, and I've still had buttermilk on my brush, but I'm gonna first go around this with orange that also has a little bit of that buttermilk in it. Nice coat around his eyes. Okay. Let's take this buttermilk. I still have orange on my brush. I'm just gonna grab some of this buttermilk and just kind of all around his eye here. Kind of do these little stripes. Out into the darker orange. Buttermilk. And again, we can come back to this, touch it up. It's our noon whistle. I'm wiping off my brush. I'm going to go into the buttermilk, and now I'm going to come underneath this whole area with just buttermilk, and paint this area underneath his beak, kind of letting it feather out a little bit into his belly feathers. And we can add something to that. I'm going to put a little hint of orange over here, just for some depth and shadow. Good. Okay, his eye's probably still kind of wet. I'll go back to that. Let's see. We need to work on this area of his eye, so we're going to need this cad yellow. Let me just wipe off my brush. I'm not cleaning it. I'm going to go into the cad yellow now. And I'm just going to put this layer of cad yellow down on this area of his eye. I just put my finger in the paint, as I always usually do. It's kind of a thing I do. Don't mean to do it. Go back around that eye and really define it with some black. And when we do that, you can either use your liner brush or this a small round brush like what I'm using here, or you could use a black paint marker or even a black Sharpie. Would work if you're worried about trying to paint a nice steady thin line. Oh, look at what I just did. Isn't that great? That's beautiful. All right. Clean off this brush now that it's got all that blue in it. At least I didn't completely ruin. Oh my gosh. I am having a mess over here. So I have to touch up my background now. All right. Boy. Okay. So I need a black pupil. Go into this black. Light touch, kind of do my outer edge first, and then I just kind of fill it in. Okay, a little bit of black. Resting my hand with my pinky finger on the canvas. And then a light touch, barely touching the canvas. Okay, now I can use this black and do his beak. Again, a light touch, kind of going around the outline. This spot in the middle is like a, it's a reflection of light on his beak. Oh, I need a little more water. Get some water on there. Grab some white to make a gray color with that black on my brush, and then fill in this little area right here that I can come back to and add a little more white to that for the reflection, but right now I'll just kind of leave it that way. All right, now we're coming together. We're coming together. It's looking good. Okay, let's see, how's my, yep, that's starting to dry. When you have larger globs of paint, of course those globs are going to take a little longer to dry. But I do need to brighten this area up quite a bit. So I might end up taking some of that cad yellow and mixing with this orange, or I might make a whole new orange by mixing the red and the yellow. So I'll probably play around with both of those things. All right, let's see. I think I want to work on this area around the eye a little more. So same round brush, and instead of just buttermilk, I'm gonna grab some of this cad yellow, take some of that buttermilk, mix those two together. Just put my finger in the beak, I think. So this is cad yellow and buttermilk that I have here. Turn my canvas. Turn it this way. Ooh, I really got a lot of water on there when I dumped out my paintbrushes. See, it's all wet. Wow. Okay, cad yellow and a little bit of buttermilk. Looks like I've got some black in there. I don't like that at all. I think I'm just gonna go with, what is going on here? Got black in my paintbrush, so I need to really clean that out because I don't want any black in this area of his eye. Woo! Okay, just some cad yellow now. I want to deepen this orange around the eyes, so I think I'm going to switch to the small filbert and get some just orange and just come in around outside here. Now I like that orange, so I'm going to stick with just orange. And I'm going to come down here and brighten up these feathers here with just plain cad orange. And let's grab some of this yellow. Add that here. More orange to it. So all those pretty colors are working together very nicely. Here's some red and a little more of this burnt sienna. To add some of this down here, so hit this red and burnt sienna first and kind of come in here, here on the side. Add a little orange to this. And let's go in with the orange and some yellow. I'm gonna have to go back over those other feathers. Some of this yellow here. Squish that out. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to work a little more on adding some more depth and layers to his eyebrows and up on his head. So I'm going to go into my burnt sienna, and I still have this filbert brush. I'm going to deepen some of this up here, and I'm just kind of dabbing and dotting. I'm not really doing any kind of paint strokes. I'm going to add some of this deeper red color. And I think I need to put in maybe some of this orange. Good. Gonna add a few more feathers here. Whoa, I really overdid it with that. Grab some of this. Myself some more orange on my palette. Kind of wiping that off because as I add orange, I'm also picking up some of this lighter color with my paintbrush. And I need to wipe that off to keep the different colors separated. All right, let's see. I'm going to go back to my round brush and I'm gonna work a little more on his eyebrows. So I'm gonna add some white and buttermilk together. I'm gonna grab some white and some buttermilk and mix those two together. It's light buttermilk, by the way. I'm calling it buttermilk, but the actual color of Deco Art paint it is light buttermilk. So now I'm just gonna lay a bunch of this down. Take the same color and kind of add it under here a little more. Darken it up a little bit for some shading again. You need some talons, so I'm gonna do, I think I'll start with black. I'm gonna do a mixture of some black and burnt sienna. Oh no, I've got to do I almost did the talons before I did the trunk. So I need to lay that branch down before I can do his talons. So we're gonna go ahead and work on that. I've got my burnt sienna, I've got some black in there. I really didn't want to use this detail brush for that, but I could go ahead and start putting some of this down. So I'm just gonna go in here like that. Looks like my paintbrush needs some water on it. In here like that. It's very, very dark. Again, grabbing more water to make it thinner consistency. Okay, burnt sienna. Okay, I'm going to switch and go to my flat brush. Black. Little water. Okay, burnt sienna and some black. I'm not worried about this little thing right here. I'll just turn it into a flying leaf. No big deal. Okay. All right. Grab a little more of this. Okay, make some more to do this other post coming down this way. So I'm gonna just kind of get some water on there. Kind of a jagged edge at the top of the post. Burnt sienna, black. So I guess it's not a branch, it's a fence post that he's on, and I keep calling it a branch, but it's a fence post. Okay, I'm gonna grab a little bit of this buttermilk, and I'm just gonna kind of come right down the side of it like that. Just kind of streak it in here and there. Same thing, put a little towards the top of this fence area that he's perched on. Just a tad of buttermilk there. Light buttermilk, I mean. Just kind of streak it through there. To be a little more shaded because it's under the owl. All right, and we can add some other colors to that. I'll throw a little orange. Okay, we're getting there, we're getting there. Clean this brush off. I'm going to take a Sharpie and I'm going to go around his eye. Turn him around so I can have a better view of him. Anything else I want to do with my Sharpie? I think I'll take my Sharpie and I'm going to kind of outline these talons a bit. Now, let me grab that little liner brush. And we're going to add some of the browns and oranges to his talons. So I'm going to go to my burnt sienna, make my little pile here that I've got my burnt sienna and black mixture. So I'm going to take that and I'm going to paint over his talons with that color for now. Okay, now I'm going to add some of the orange to it. And let's take a little bit of maybe some of this yellow. So I've still got this dark mixture, I've got some of that orange in there, and now I'm adding some of this yellow, and it's really kind of a mud color, isn't it? And then I think I'm gonna take some buttermilk. You can play with those colors as you see fit. All right, I'm gonna brighten up the beak a little bit. I'm just gonna come in with a little bit of white. I'm just gonna take some white, and I don't want a lot on my brush, so I'm really wiping it out onto my plate here. And just kind of jabbing that over top of that beak area, that lighter color that we had on there. Just for a little spot of highlight. And I think I'm going to put a little bit of white again. Pretty much it's almost a dry brush. And add some to this area. Can't even tell I added anything there, so get it a little thicker. Put it on there. Okay, and now I'm going to take my white and I'm going to give him some white blobs of paint on his eyebrows. Nice thick blobs of white paint for some texture. Okay, blobs of white there. Okay, now I want to add a little more to his feathers, and then I've got to work on leaves. So let me do a little more on his feathers. Let's see what happens if I mix this cad yellow. I'm going to put it over here, and some of this cad red. Let's see what kind of orange I get. I'm going to grab more of this yellow. And I'm going to put some of this white in there. Okay, let's see how this looks on him. Well, it's definitely a different orange. I'm not sure that I like it. So now let me take this orange, just squish it on my brush. Just went back into some red. All right. Now I want red and burnt sienna. A little bit of that orange. And let's go back over here. Put a few more nice thick strokes. Dot some of that on his head. All right, let's see. Add some of this to his talon. No, that was a mistake. Let me get that off of there. Go back to my round brush. How about some leaves? I think I'm going to use my larger brush, my filbert brush, sorry. Okay, so we're going to do some cad orange, cad red, some white, and we're going to make leaves kind of in various places. So I've got my medium filbert. I'm going to put red on there. I'm going to start with red. So I'm going to come up here and I'm just going to kind of do loose leaf shapes. Kind of just dabbing my brush in the shape, in the area where I want the leaf to stick out or have points to it. So they're not any particular kind of leaf. Maybe they might, and I'm adding some orange to it as I go. So red. Kind of letting it stroke up that way, put a little orange on there. Just a little leaf fleck. now I have to look and see if I need to do anything else to it. Grab a little bit of this buttermilk. Gonna go back in now to eyes. This is kind of the area where you're just gonna look at your painting and decide what do you want to add? What kinds of details do you want to add to your painting? So I'm just kind of looking at what I have and deciding, you know, that I want to add maybe a little more to this eye. Okay. Strokes of some of this buttermilk that had some of the orange in it. Whoa, don't drop it. Now I'm going to go into some white. Like that. And I might add a couple leaf stems, not very many. So I need to have a mix of burnt umber, a tiny bit of black, I think I'm going to call it done. So we're going to sign it. And that's it. Fall Owl. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'm sure there's things that you want to add to your painting. If you were painting along with me, I've already found things I want to add, so you know, it's kind of like your painting is never done. So I need a little shadow here, and my paintbrush is way too dry. Just keep going. You can just keep going. All right, we're gonna stop. Okay, I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you the next time I do a painting. Bye.